What up? Back in your life? I took a little break. Things got a little busy. That's life. Is this episode 145 or 146? Well, you would know. You can see the episode title. Um, okay, man. We had a busy episode back. We had a lot to cover. Just one from being off, and two, like the summer season of all the shows is starting, and that's been very exciting. What do we cover? So first, we kind of put a bow on the spring season. We wrapped up Kowloon Generic Romance. We talked about the ending and some of the controversies therein. Grant gives a breakdown of Gundam GQUUX, GQUUuuux, and how that wrapped up. Talk a little bit of Dragon Ball Z Kai. And then we get into the heaters, and we start off so strong. You have to listen to us talk about this before you watch the anime. After, I don't know. You can determine that. The summer Hikaru died. Must watch. We go into detail on that. Then Grant just hits us with all the stuff for his like summer blitz. So there's Gachiakuta, Ruri Rocks, Lord of Mysteries, Takopi's Original Sin. I hope I'm saying that right, and DanDaDan. And then we get into news, and there's a lot of really fun stuff. I highly recommend listening all the way to the end on this one, especially for the news segment. There's a lot of fun back and forth. There's a lot of movie news. There's a lot of box office news, sequel announcements, scripts are being completed. It's a very fun time to be covering all this stuff. So thank you very much for listening and enjoy. Oh, hey there, Grant.
Hello, David.
What's up, buddy?
No, not much. Just trying to stay cool. First time I've ever had a fan under the desk for a podcast night.
Oh man, we're in it like with the heat wave and then like this like rain wave. Um, it's easy to forget, and I think I'm reminded of it anytime I travel that like we just live like our climate is closer to like Moscow than like anything else. Like it like we truly live in a frozen hellscape most of the time.
Yeah.
That like Americans, like probably a lot of people listening, like anytime you talk to Americans about like weather and stuff, like one, there's the like Fahrenheit to Celsius thing. But then, like, once you get through the conversion and they talk about, like, what our temperatures are like especially through winter, they look at you like you're from another planet. They're like, you do what? You choose this? Like, you want to live? It's like, well, I know I don't want to.
Yeah.
But all that said, then when, like, winter or summer comes, everybody's, like, super elated.
Yeah.
And then we get, like, 1 or 2 hot days, and we're like, this is also a hellscape. I can't do this. I can't do this.
The most aging thing I can possibly say right now is it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
I have a shirt that says that. I wear it when I mow the
swimming
lawn.
today, dude. It was unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went from like a very muggy, like 30 plus degree into a blasting cold work truck at one point today. And like I was like, dude, it was like, ew, like my back got cold from like because I was so sweaty and gross, and it's like there's no winning. You're just like, how do you transition? But yeah, I love our weather talks in the first like 2 to 3 minutes of the podcast.
Yeah, I think I told you just more domestic stuff. Like we're new at the homeowning thing, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, we're trying to do this whole garden thing, and like redo the front garden because it was just an absolute disaster. And it's like, to be fair, there is an angle where it's like I'm just a lazy person and I don't want to do it, and Sam's like trying to beat that out of me, right? And it's just like she couldn't have chose like the wrong day, a worse day to like beat it out of me. It's like I told you I was sick for like 10 days, had no voice, and she goes, "No, today's the day. You have a slow work day. We can do it right after." And it's it was 34 before the Humidex.
Yeah.
And then as within seconds of her getting out there, this was like the transplant day.
Sure.
Transplant, and she's like, "Don't worry, I'll get started. I know like you're not feeling well. You can just help me like tidy up." She's out there 5 minutes. Immediately back in the door. I can't get a single plant out of the ground. I'm like, of course you can't. Like I knew it was gonna be me. That's why I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, but now she's got the gloves on. It's like, well, okay, I guess I'm going. Cut to 90 minutes later, I'm done, and I'm just. It looks like I jumped in a pool.
Yeah.
And I might be sicker now than I was from when I started. Not now, but at the end of that experience.
Yeah, everyone says sweat it out, but they don't mean sitting out in like 40, like 60% humidity.
Yeah, go do some gardening. That'll get the COVID right out of you.
Yeah.
Why didn't they prescribe that?
Okay, I'll never forget years ago. It's quite infamous amongst my family. Years and years ago, when my brother and I were like still living at my mom's house, and it was just like the night before. It was like, oh, by the way, you guys have to be free tomorrow. We're building a shed, and it was no word of a lie. It was like 40 degrees out that year.
Yep.
At by like noon, humidity out the window. Devin and I were like, and it was just us. Like, of course, my mom just like disappeared. It was just gone. My stepdad wasn't anywhere. They're off to do other errands. And Devin and I are trying to figure out how to put this this prefab kit.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, we're gonna do this. Like, anyways, both him and I had unbelievable heat stroke. Like, Leanna came home and she was like, "You two need to go inside and lay down." And we're like, "What do you like? What do you mean?"
You're not even speaking full sentences.
She's like, "You two were like crouched, like stumbling along the yard trying to like grab pieces of wood and all that." And legit heat stroke. Like, we were out of. I think we were sick for like 4 days afterwards. But yeah, and like every Canada, I get nostalgic of. Remember that year we almost killed ourselves?
That is
a shed together.
That is also a getting older thing. Sam got a sunburn the other day, and we're talking about like I feel like you get. I don't want to say when you're young, but I feel like they're through your teens, and then often, at least my experience is like in your early to mid 20s. There's one point where you get such a bad burn that is so disruptive to your life. Where you're like, I'm never going to do this shit again. Like, I'm never going to be an idiot and forget the whole hydrate sunblock thing. Because it feels like you can get away with it until you don't.
Sure.
And then you get burned, literally. You get burned by that once, and you're like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, no, it's, drink your fluids, folks.
Can't do the heat. So, a birdie tells me you've seen some summer anime.
I put in some work this weekend. I'm quite happy with it, actually. We were messaging today, and I'm always excited for the podcast, but like I watched like a lot of really cool stuff this weekend. I
watched 2 new things.
Okay.
But I feel like we should wrap up the previous season. Did you finish Kowloon Generic Romance?
I did, yes.
Okay.
And I just finished up Mobile Suit Gundam.
Nice. Okay.
Which
excellent.
I would like to touch on for a few
Certainly.
minutes.
So, with that in mind, let's start with Kowloon. We've both seen it.
Yeah.
We haven't talked since like episode 9, but it kind of works because it feels like 10, 11, 12 was like very clearly the final arc, right?
Yeah.
All the
wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at least bitching about like, hey, like when are we going to start to get some big lore drops? Like when are we going to learn things? We're kind of like they established like, listen, it's mysterious. Listen, there's like plot devices. Sometimes things change. Yeah. It was getting a little irritating. Mm-hmm. But like to their credit, they like started releasing information like pretty rapidly in those 3 episodes in succession. So I guess maybe just at a high level before we get into the nitty gritty, like what did you think? How do you feel? What's your outlook now that it's over?
Overall, I really liked it. I thought, I think you and I have, continuously said like immaculate vibes, great energy, like the soundtrack and just kind of the artistic style and the animation, all even like very, very consistent. I think they kind of landed the plane. Like I think they did this. It's interesting because like this is like a mystery box kind of show, right? And there's always these things along the way of like, oh, these questions and like we don't know about this, we don't know about that. This kind of like weirdly wrapped everything up, and like maybe more more than others, but I feel like they kind of hit everything. Whether you kind of liked the end result might be we'll get into that, but I think they kind of nailed it considering there was a bit of an outcry about the pacing of the show, and I felt like from that last arc, like you said, from like 9 onward, you could really feel like, oh, I bet you think this is really spaced out a little more, and kind of they really break down some of this, and you could definitely feel that weight. But I don't know. I really liked it. It was good. I think it could have used with 3 more episodes. It's kind of my big thing with it. Yeah. I
think on the whole, I agree. I think that I still consider it probably like an above average anime that I enjoyed. Like I think you recommended this one to me, and it is definitely takes a lot of the boxes of like a Dave anime, right? Like the mystery box stuff, the drama. The look and feel is like good-ish. It's not crazy, but it looks nice. But yeah, there's like enough pieces here to like make a story that I'm into. Yeah. The pacing for sure a little off. I think like, sorry, cats. I don't know if that's yours. I don't know if that's yours or mine, to be honest.
You know what? I wasn't sure. I heard the door getting battered on, so but
I don't even know because there's something
might
going
be
on
mine.
here too.
It might be mine.
It might be anyway. Did you know the anime is still ongoing, or the manga is still ongoing?
Oh, is that true?
Yeah. So it's like now.
So is this like an anime original ending?
That's what I'm reading. So now people are like, I wonder if the manga will end the same way. And then I looked into it and like, oh yeah, it's still going. So it's like, well, part of me is like, well, no shit, the pacing was all over the place. Like, did they even know?
Oh, that's so weird.
How it's supposed to. It reminds me of the Full Metal Alchemist 03 series.
Oh, so we're gonna get our Kowloon generic romance
Brotherhood. Yeah.
Our sisterhood.
So I don't know what the deal is with that. I think my favorite parts, because there's just some weird stuff, right? Like you made a really good point, which is like it does wrap up fairly well, all things considered. Mm-hmm. You may or may not like all the answers, but there are at least answers. They at least like committed to something and made a choice. Yeah,
they never. It feels like nothing was left on the table, which we don't get typically in these types of shows. Like, you know, if you go back to Summertime Rendering, Sunny Boy was pretty complete. It was more vague. It was like a vague experience, but definitely Heavenly Delusions, like, you know, like what, like, you know, like what's going on there.
Heavenly Delusion feels like more of a miss because it just feels like they made a bet on like we hope we can come back and do more with this story. Yeah, and like they have lost that bet. You know, deservedly or not, hard to say.
Well, yeah, I think their biggest struggle is being stuck on Disney jail and not talked about, and you know the name. There's the whole confusion of the name. No one really knew what was going on, but I kind like they threw the curve. There was some really interesting curveballs like right at the end of Kowloon that I kind of loved, and it kind of put like a bigger picture, like the stuff with Kudo, like this being his world.
Favorite part of the show for me.
You know, like it was just kind of like it was like kind of like that, not like a full aha moment. You're like, oh, like duh, like you know, like clearly everyone has an association to him, and then the only people that don't are like the real outsiders that have like. So, you know, like it was like the breadcrumbs weren't as obvious, but they were there, and you're like, you know, oh, it's interesting, but you know, her suicide being by drugs and that just being so random and kind of just like throwing that detail out. The Miyuki and Gwen, or is it Gwen? Yeah, the green haired guy. Yeah, that whole story wrapping up the way it did, and him like just kind of the ball just being dropped on his vengeance, and like just it was kind of nice to seeing that type of character being like coming to terms with like, all right, it like really is out of my hands. Like he got me, you know.
Kind of
like,
interesting.
You know, like you would think that would be like a total burnout character, like just go nuts, go crazy.
They were setting him up for that. It felt like it took a little bit of a left turn.
Yeah, so it was like kind of refreshing in that regard, and kind of some twists that types of twists I've never really seen. Yeah, the overdose one. You don't see a lot of drug stuff in anime, I find.
No, that's a good point. And
overdose.
You know, there's an argument here for the thing you and I always talk about of show don't tell, right? Sure. About like Kujirai B's her suicide. Yeah. And I don't know if they showed enough. Like, it's just I mean, maybe there's someone who's looked at the anime more closely than me, and like that's fair. I've watched it one time, you know, not really examining it closely. We knew she killed herself. The question was always why. I don't know if we got an answer to that.
I still don't think. I mean, did they explicitly say it was suicide, or was it like was she just had a drug addiction and there was a chance it was going to kill her?
Yeah, I don't know. It made it seem like when she was talking to the old woman in the last episode, they at least seemed to hint towards the fact that she knew. She called it a gamble, right? Yeah. Like this might kill. Like I'm going into this with my eyes open, understanding that this may not work out. Sure. So it's like, so to your point, maybe it wasn't like a clear cut. She was just committing suicide. Maybe she was, like you said, had a drug addiction, or I've seen some people talk about she had insomnia. Who knows? But I don't think either.
Taking a hallucinogen, put yourself to sleep. It seems risky. But.
Yeah, so I don't know which of those I believe. I agree with you that like, or I already said this, like the Kudo, the generic Terra thing being like reacting to him, and the whole thing being born out of his like regret and grief, I actually think is pretty cool, and it works better the more you watch that show. The more you look at it, you're like, oh shit, it all makes sense.
I thought it was also interesting too. Like there was all these cutaways to the generic Terra, like over and over and over again. And then we get the reveal that like it's a total dud. Like it's not working.
Yeah.
Again, we find out that it is in fact working. That's for sure. My cat.
Yeah. Okay.
That's at the door there. But it was interesting that like it technically did work and it went off, but it's
not as they intended. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna pause for 1 second there.
Okay. While Grant does that, I'm gonna monologue a little bit about like I think the vibe, or I'm gonna talk a little bit about like just in general that like Grant always mentioned like the pacing felt off. I agree with that. I feel like knowing now that the manga is ongoing, this really does feel like a Fullmetal Alchemist like 03 situation. Like I wonder if the manga's over in like 2 years and the ending is just, much more deliberate. I wonder if like the manga ending is going to please people in a much more satisfying way, given the pacing was drastically different. But
now I need to read that. You know what I mean? I got to see like where they decided to cut it off and move forward.
One genuine complaint though, and it's a very clear story choice that they make that I just don't love, is like everything kind of falls apart at the end. The city goes away. Somehow Reiko keeps her individuality, even though she's a clone.
Sure.
Or she's generic or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really know if they explained that very well, but whatever. I'll like suspend my sense of disbelief. I sincerely don't like that like 2 years later, Kudo just finds her again.
Yeah. You know what that felt like? That felt like the anime original ending.
Yeah, for sure.
I just felt like we have nothing to put in. Like, how do we kind of potentially leave the door open for when the manga continues?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Like, she's become, like, the one choice they did make that I did like was, like, they put her at a travel agency, which is the exact opposite of what she was doing. She wanted to see things. Like, I love all that.
She wanted all these experiences.
Yeah. Okay. But it felt like they were trying to say 2 years later, and then he shows up as though he's gone through this journey of, like, self-discovery and, like, maybe processing all of his grief so that he's not stuck in this loop. And then he just finds her again.
Did you clock that her customer at the travel agency was the one... is the guy he played that game with?
Yeah, I did.
And I was like, oh, okay, so like there's still maybe a connection, or for a split second when he showed up again, I was like, oh, is this like maybe another loop created?
It's weird though, right? Because that guy, like in one of the final scenes, they break another rule that they established. Like they go out of their way to break a rule. Like that guy that he played the game with, tells him like, I'm happy this happened because I got to see my wife again, who you never met. So it's like, yeah, but how then? Like I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, because at that point, Generic Terra, Gene Terra was like kind of maybe malfunctioning because everything had been uploaded at that point. Yeah. So maybe that was it, kind of malfunctioning, allowing that stuff through. But all in all, I'm glad I really watched it. It's I only really watched 2 anime in the spring season consistently. So all my time was focused to this. So like this was like my, this would be like my blockbuster show between this and Mobile Suit. But I just love the vibe. Like I like this kind of 80s Renaissance kind of coming back, and because it looks like there's a couple more in the fall have a similar look and vibe. And this is it's kind of apples and oranges, but this is kind of what I loved about Astronaut, where it was really trying to hit all these themes and imagery and tones from like the 80s, 70s, 80s stuff, like the comedies and slice of life, and this is kind of targeting that thriller, all like the thriller mystery stuff from like the 90s, 80s, 90s. So, but I love a throwback.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Okay, you mentioned Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah.
How'd it turn out? Is that the full title, Mobile Suit Gundam?
Yeah, it's Mobile Suit Gundam GQUUuuux.
Yes.
So it's finished the same week, or last week it finished. I had said I had gone back and I had watched all the original stuff to kind of get a more of a bearing for this. Yeah. The one watch through of the 3 movies definitely was not enough to like remember a lot of like why this character is important being on screen. They did a couple more scenes where they kind of went back to the almost like the original animation style set in the past of like like redid scenes from like the movies kind of thing. There was like
Cool.
one or two more of those. We had the Ano moment. Slight spoiler for anyone,
No,
but
no.
so I'm already blanking on her name. Mushu, the main girl, the redheaded
Yeah,
girl,
yeah.
in that mobile suit. We have the Ava 1 moment. The the head like opens up and you get
Uh,
like the teeth and like the roar
oh, that's
look of
cool.
Ava. So that was kind of like the Evangelion kind of like
Yeah.
fan service, but a couple like just truly amazing like space battle set pieces. Um, because the thing I really loved about The Witch from Mercury was like a lot of the 2D, and as a traditional animation, there's no real 3D animation or CG. This was the opposite. Like it was quite a lot of heavy-handed of the 3D. But I did like, there's a lot of complaints about the mobile suit designs and kind of some of the fights. I really didn't have any issues. Just a couple of really incredible set pieces. Phenomenal needle drops. Like the soundtrack is truly like
Yeah.
it's on my constant rotation now.
I enjoyed the soundtrack when I was watching.
And a couple new tracks as the series went on, like
Nice.
during battle set pieces. But I don't know. I kind of similar to like an opposite situation at Kowloon where I like the presentation. I don't know if like it was just so convoluted and the most like new watcher unfriendly show I've seen in
Sure.
a long time.
Yeah.
Like I made the attempt to try and have the understanding and catch the correlations.
Yeah.
And I was still just like, I'm gonna come back to this one. Maybe watch the movies again and then come back and rewatch the season. Like I don't think it's a failure by any means. I think it was really cool, has such style. But it was like almost like understandable at points. Like towards the end, I was like, I think if you are a true blue like OG Gundam fan, like really know that stuff well, this would be a total ace in the hole like experience to watch. But if you're just even like kind of unsure, don't know people by immediate look or name or recognition, it's kind of hard to like really invest. And it happens so fast. The pacing, it's just like the conversations, like they're like these major monologues are going on, and you're like, holy cow, like did you just info dump me in your monologue? Like like this is supposed to be the moment where like you get your one uppance on somebody and you're hitting me with like two other plot lines. Yeah, it's a lot of blending of stuff that I don't think necessarily works, but I'm glad I watched it.
Sure.
I think I think it would be cool if they kind of kept going. Like, and I know it's a failure and potentially it's a potential failure for people that aren't familiar with the subject material. But like, I think if they had like a second season of this, or even like the real shame is this is another one that could have used like 3 more episodes.
Sure. How many episodes total did it have?
It was 12.
Okay, yeah.
Like 3 or 4 more like really would have kind of especially in this last arc when everything kind of comes to a head. Like the final set piece is like 5 episodes. And they kind of they tee that off pretty early.
The thing about that is that's 40% of your season, right? That's with these short shows.
Yeah, so it's kind of unfortunate in that way, but I've been eyeing up like Gunpla kits like nonstop, like oh my God, which is the one I want to get, from like because there's a couple of really cool designs.
God, you got to come over and help me make that Ava. Remember I unboxed the whole thing and I couldn't get past step 1. Like what the yeah.
I think there's a couple cool ones like high grade kits that I'd like to pick up that I should sit down and do, but because I think there's some really cool designs. They there's a sick needle drop to. So I'll just spoil it for you. Anyone listening, I'm sure not a lot of people are watching the show, so huge failures or apologies to that. But like Char shows up finally, like everyone's like, oh, where did he go? The guy, and so like when he kind of like joins the battle, like his theme from one of the original movies, like a 2025 re-edited, reissued version of that song from the 70s. Like
that's pretty cool.
And I was just like, and I know it because I've heard it's a pretty notable song online, and watching the movies, I'm like, oh my God, that's the tune there, and it was like shivers, like whoa, like I know what's coming. It's so funny how like even though you don't know everything, there's just enough things that could fit in like fan service wise. But the Ava moment was unreal. Like it seemed so obvious like after it happened, but in the moment just like it's like the roar and everything. They sampled it. Oh, it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. It was. Cool. It was Ava 1 like yelling.
Damn.
And I even noticed too. There was one fight. There's 2 like the two of the main like antagonists protagonists are kind of going toe to toe, and the way they're like dodging at each other and like leaping at each other, it almost like they had. I kind of never realized how long the limbs were of the mobile suits, and it reminded me of like the Avas, like you know how like they have,
they did,
they're very kind of like
gangly,
ghoulish, and gangly, and I was like, oh okay, like it was there. We were all waiting because what I think what people probably expected was the Ava moment is there's this second suit introduced that's colored the purple and green, and it kind of has like the horn, so it looks like Ava 1, but it's then later you find like the other suit is what reveals like the roaring mouth and the teeth, and it was pretty sick. So I'll send you that clip,
please.
But yeah, just for an Ava fan, it's pretty sweet fan service there.
That's sick. That's
usually get this kind of thing in a mobile game or something like like Evangelion versus like whatever popular game there is, but to see it in anime was kind of cool.
That's pretty sick.
But yeah, so I'm so yeah, that's pretty much our spring wrap up.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, I want to talk about the summer Hikaru died.
You like that shit?
Yo, that's some sick shit.
I was like, I think you had texted me like not even 40 minutes after I'd watched it, and I was like, Dave, I got something for you, buddy.
Yeah, dude. It's funny, I can watch like right now our current rotation, and I gotta say it's working pretty beautifully.
Yeah.
Is as you know, I'm sure there's a new season of Love Island UK.
Oh,
airing.
Nice.
Grant, they put out 5 episodes per week.
Oh, really?
It's so much content. It's
like
so
hour episodes, or is it like half an hour?
45. It's a
like
lot.
One a day, or like are you getting like 3 a night?
No, one a day. They put out 1 a day, and then 1 like bonus bits on like the weekend or something. So
How
it's like,
long does the season last?
It's like over 50 episodes. It's like 8 weeks or some shit. It's insane.
Jesus
it's a huge
Christ.
amount of content. But
and they call us nerds watching a lot of anime.
Dude, this is what I hit Sam with anytime. She's like, I watch anime all the time. I'm like, listen, lady, like you don't know.
Let's add it up.
let's do time spent. Let's play this fucking game.
Yeah.
So right now, like you can't stay on top of that kind of release schedule. Like it's just too much.
Sure.
So
it would have to be your one show. Like you watch that every night.
Yeah. So what we do though is we're doing a ratio when we do watch it, 2 to 1 for in exchange for 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Okay.
And it oddly works. There's a lot to remove here, right?
It's a good balance.
It's a good balance because Dragon Ball Z Kai is in English. I mean, I think they have a sub version, but like, I grew up on the English version, so I'm like, hey, try the English version.
Yeah.
Right? What do I care? And it's one of those shows. People love the dub. And Kai removes so much filler.
All the bloat.
Like the Saiyan arc, like with Raditz, is like 4 episodes in Kai. Like they just like get through.
Wow.
It. Yeah. They trim so much fat. We're like on episode like mid to late 20s, and we're like halfway through the Namek arc. Like it just blitzes.
Wow.
So all that, but it's fun too because Sam is like seen, like just via pop culture, she knows who Goku is, right?
Yeah, of course,
or she's seen Vegeta, but so it's fun to like in real time be like, hey, wait, I've seen that guy on a thing, or I've heard the word Vegeta. Is that a person or a place? Like, you know what I mean? To see it all. So that's been really fun. How did I get here?
Love Island 2 to 1 ratio.
Yeah, but Love Island. Oh, right. No, this is how. So I made that pitch, and I was surprised that she said yes, like about Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
And then yesterday or the day before, I go, DanDaDan's back, and I'm sure we'll talk about that too.
Absolutely.
And I said, if we really want to get our money's worth, there's this new show, and I just watched the pilot called The Summer Hikaru. And she's like, okay, just give me the elevator pitch, and like the longer I talked, I was just watching the light leave her eyes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that sounds like everything I don't want to watch. I was like, listen, you feel uneasy while you watch it. It's terrifying, but eerie, and you're not sure why. Yeah. And she was like, I don't like being scared. Anyway, it's pretty funny. But that's a mood setter, that show.
Strong pilot, dude.
Pilots are hard, dude. And,
pilots are hard, dude.
And like direction, animation, sound direction. The birds, the bees, the bugs.
Yeah, cicadas, really.
Alliteration. But
summer show.
Summertime rendering vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just some similarities. But no, this is yeah, this is I mean, I want to be like very careful to avoid hyperbole.
Sure. Yeah.
Because like I don't want to be like it's a 10 out of 10, it's the best thing, you know what I mean? And then next thing you know, like what's that one show that had that unbelievable dive like a year ago, like Ninja something?
Oh, Ninja Kamui. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you never know these days, right? But dude, that pilot was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'll be week to week on that.
For sure. And I was a little unsure. Like I remember, like that there's like an opening shot of like the camera flying through the woods, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I was like,
Same
okay,
here.
I don't like this, kind of like visual opening here, and then even like kind of like the shot of Hikaru looking up into the tree line. And I'm like, oh, that's like a weird angle they're coming at him from.
A little weird.
It was like. It's hard to describe, but it's like almost like he was like in a closed off circle, and then like there was like a crescent moon of trees kind of surround. I was like, it was interesting. I was like, I haven't really seen that, but it looked weird. And then it just cuts in, and I love that it's called out that it's not him in the first episode. Like this could have been dragged. I'm sure this is based on the source material, but like it is kind of nice. The mystery box again is kind of opened already.
Let's just go right away. Yeah,
let's go. Like
let's not drip feed.
Let's run with it. Like let's tell this story instead of like coming to terms and acceptance of what the situation. It's in Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say they put it in the title.
Yeah, that
he's dead. And and I mean I forgot this until I watched it, but they fucking show you in the trailer too, and they cover it in the first episode. Yeah. They cover that he's dead 10 minutes into the first episode.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the first episode...
But it wasn't me. I found him like that, which is like the most like I did it thing ever.
Yeah. But then by the end of the first episode, you got a new cliffhanger to worry about.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just go. Let's just tell the story. Let's just go. And they're going. And I love it.
Yeah, there's so much to love about this episode. They did a really good job of clearly setting up, I think, 2 to 3 different storylines.
Yeah.
That are clearly going to converge at some point, which is going to be like the big flashpoint of the season. But we have it's our boy that are freaking it's Kenjiro Sudoi playing the detective type character Tanaka, and that was again like there's quite a few scenes that were a tad unsettling. But when he comes in and it cuts to like behind the bookshelf or in the bookshelf, the eyes, and you can't, and you're like, did he find something or like did it hide or escape? But people are clearly upset and crying. Again, the sound design of like he's on the phone on the patio, and you can hear the couple weeping faintly, and like you can actually, it kind of feels like they're not pushing each other, but like get off me kind of thing. Like there's like a ruffling sound. Yeah. Incredible stuff. Unsettling. It's so good. And then when the woman sees them on the walk home, the woman who gets kind of killed in the end there. And she's like freaking out of like, she clearly sees something on the street, and dude, it's really good. It's some shit, man.
Shit, there's gonna be one more thing that I said. Do you know? Oh, and I mean, maybe you feel this is spelled out, maybe you don't. I don't. I didn't look. I intentionally haven't rewatched anything.
Okay.
But do you think the main character's name is escaping me? Because Hikaru is the
Yeah. I'm also blanking on his name.
Do you like Inmaki and Muki? I don't know, but do you think he had romantic feelings for Hikaru? Do you think he loved him, or do you think he was just his best friend?
I think he loved him.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if this is a spoiler. This has been. I have seen like the marketing around this and the fandom online. This is marketed as a yaoi, which
I don't know what that is.
I believe it's boy love.
Oh.
to put it simple.
Didn't know that.
So I clearly think that was. I took that as like he clearly loved Hikaru or wanted him to reciprocate.
Yeah.
And he never did because maybe he was a bit of a clown or whatever, or like just and then but clearly this entity clearly is new and like feeling all these feelings. Very interesting stuff, dude.
Well, yeah, regardless of the genre, I mean, the reason I even asked that question was like, if there were romantic feelings, like I think that just adds, in this specific case, that adds a new dimension and depth to the storytelling, right? Because it's not just your friend that's like a walking around, but not really, but it is this person that you loved who's gone, but not, and like it would probably contribute to your inner turmoil and like all that confusion, and plus the age that he's at and everything.
Yeah.
Like you really do feel for the main character already, and you can kind of just already see like, God, this is gonna get out of hand. Like it's gonna get messy, and I'm excited.
Yeah, like he has like 2 or 3 breakdowns in the episode of like, no, this is wrong, I hate this, and then it's like,
oh man,
but and then there's like the repeating shot of like when they're hugging, the silhouette of like the tear going down his back, bringing that back the second time. I was like, yes.
Dude, art direction, bro.
Yeah, this show is cooking something fierce.
Artsy on me, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like I think one thing we both love, and maybe this is fair and unfair, but I think because what I was gonna say is I think what we both love is when an anime takes fucking swings. Like, just do the thing, remake the manga panel, like just
Do a thing. Yeah.
do like give it a try, take a swing, and the funny part is, well, maybe when you miss, like you get guys like me just shitting on you, being like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But,
yeah. No, this is like, just like the total package presentation. I don't think I've been like this completely pulled in by a pilot in quite some time. Like, probably To Your Eternity would be the big one.
God, I hope it doesn't suck, man. I really hope this thing doesn't fall off a cliff.
Yeah, I know the manga is quite loved.
Yeah.
So I think we have like a safe like one season, like,
do you
but interpretation is one thing,
Do you we can move on after this. Do you think that this is a loaded question. Do you think that it being on Netflix improves its chances
100%.
at having steady animation quality?
No, not necessarily, because Netflix doesn't produce anything. They just
Yeah.
buy out, right?
Yeah.
So this was like a done deal, I think.
Yeah.
So
what were you saying 100% about?
I think this is the perfect show for Netflix because
okay, yeah, fit-wise.
Fit-wise, I think it's perfect because Crunchyroll, it was always going to have, like, people are always going to watch that. Like, this, it has its dedicated fan base. This is a show that I think will thrive on Netflix because there is such a passion for kind of like the murder mystery angle stuff. The Netflix, again, there's like a lot of international stuff on there, but like one of the biggest demographics is animation, and then also like horror related stuff. So I think this is perfect in that regard. So just getting on that many extra eyes, I think is awesome. I was shocked when it was on the For You page because I never get pitched any of their new animation stuff. So when I signed in and it was there, I was like, that's a good sign. I knew it was on there. I was going to seek it out, but it blasting me with it, I was like, nice.
Yeah.
On the day it came out too, which was
what
even
day
better.
does it release?
I believe I wrote all this down. Saturdays.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll be queued up this weekend.
Yeah, it's dope stuff.
Okay, I bet we both watched. So that's the jump out of the week for I mean for me at least. I bet we both watched DanDaDan. But before we get to that, is it fair to say you've watched a bunch of stuff I haven't that you want to talk about?
For sure.
Yeah. Is it what kind of stuff? Hit me with a few.
So we don't need to get into them because I've talked about them, previously because they're follow-up seasons. My Dress Up Darling and Call of the Night are back for season 2s. Dress Up Darling, they, it was funny. I think I might have messaged Shane because I know he had watched it too, but it's like their budget was literally tripled. It's crazy, like front to back, like just it felt like the entire episode was like full-blown Sakuga. Like the like just like
this is the premiere of season 2 you're talking about.
The premiere season, like just like opening a bag of chips or like like just it was just like why is this so like like crazy dialed in. So that was kind of nice. And then Call of the Night, kind of more of the same vibes. It's probably the first time in a while where like maybe like a little reminder what happened. Like the show was like 2.5 years ago. Yeah,
the recap
they kind of just like jumped right into it, and I had to like kind of re-jog. But so those were good. So the first one is a show called Gachiakuta.
Spell that for me.
So Gachiakuta.
You know what? I saw a poster for that on Crunchy.
Okay. So this is,
and the poster was cool, but is it all CG?
I don't think it's CG
Not
at all. I think it has a very specific animation style. It kind of makes them look that way. So this is Studio Bones.
Yeah. The
Um,
homies.
the homies. So I guess just elevator pitch.
Love it.
There's society. It almost has like a steampunk vibe to it, like a Victorian look feel to it.
Love steam. Love
There's
punk.
the rich, clean side of town.
Mm-hmm.
There's the impoverished, like you guys go live in the slums. It's one or the other. There's no
Yeah.
like in between. And then the rich society, everything's built on there can be no garbage, no trash. Everything has to be like perfect. So they're constantly throwing stuff out. It's illegal to look through trash, and
Yeah.
there's a trash world,
Okay.
and like below them. And this main character, like this orphan, kind of loosely raised by his uncle, kind of gets wrapped up in this like murder plot. So anyone that like commits a crime, they get put on like this cross essentially, and like hung over the trash world and dropped down into it where they're supposed to die.
Seems fair.
Yeah, if you know, like it's funny. Like I was telling Leanne about it. She's like, that's like straight out of One Piece, like the celestial dragons, like versus like the whole world, and like
Okay.
we're better than everyone else. So it's kind of like a plot line I'm familiar with, but I think they don't really. I saw in a trailer because I did watch a trailer for it. It sounds like there's like he gets trash powers.
Okay,
Down.
so the OP not the OP.
Yeah,
the
the main character. Yeah, the main character gets sent down,
survives.
and it kind of he just gets down. There's like this giant trash monster,
Okay.
and it kind of like ends on that. But it's a pretty cool like I don't know if it's like going to be like a Robin Hood type story where like they come back and they have a crusade against all the rich people, and it was different. Like I said, I don't know if it's original, if it's based on a manga or not.
Mm-hmm.
I might give it a few more episodes. This is probably one of the ones that I'll maybe come back to later when it's all done.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it for what it was. Like very little action. It was almost all set up and like kind of explaining the world and the hierarchy, which for like a battle shonen, it was kind of interesting for them to like completely withhold action other than like one like maybe 5 second 6 minute like scene.
Mm-hmm.
It showed a little bit of restraint, which is interesting. So that one was cool.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Like it's gonna be like the 3 episode, like kind of see where I'm at after that.
Yeah.
Because I want to see him. I want to see him get his powers. I'm really curious where that's gonna go and
Fair.
what that's gonna be. My next one is tonal. Like I kind of just stumbled upon it. It was on the splash page on Crunchyroll. It's called Ruri Rocks. This is by Studio Bind, the creators of Mushoku Tensei.
Okay.
And animation wise, very kind of similar designs. Like, I think, they're thirsty bastards there. They can't really help themselves. But it is a very slice of life show about geology and like crystal and crystal hunting and like rock hunting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of it reminded me so much of Dr. Stone of like here's all like there's like there's a splash page of like did you know like Garnet, because at one point Garnet is featured in the episode, and there's a splash page on did you know that like it's one of the original abrasives on this planet, and if you go into your hardware store and there's G on the back of your sandpaper, there's a good chance garnet's built into it, into your sand and stuff like that. And and like they're talking about how like Japan,
that is very Dr. Stone-ish.
Very Dr. Stone-ish, and they're talking about how Japan sits on 4 tectonic plates, so it's like one of the most like I think like they're saying like almost every type of gem or like carbon based stone can be found in Japan because of like their location and all the volcanoes and the water and whatnot. So like very informational, like weirdly horny, just like based on character designs and all that. But like it's all like it's like big picture. It's like 5 out of 10 kind of like fan servicey, but it's just funny because like it's such like a positive. Like this younger girl, like her mom's like, no, I'm not going to give you an allowance. Like, are you like for what, to go buy makeup? And she's like, no, like I want to go buy a hammer now because I fell in love. And like it's a really cool like mentor.
Sure.
So this girl, she goes on her own in like flip flops. She like runs into a sign of like beware of bears. She's like, that's probably not a problem, and like goes out and she runs into this graduate student who's there just on her own free time and like looking for something, and she harasses her, and it's like, take me along with you, and they build this friendship. Honestly, like incredibly wholesome, really fun. It's like I would like love to share it. The ironic thing is like I would love to share this with with Corinne, but it's like try not to pay attention to all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know. By the end of it, was like, this is like a really really cool wholesome show so far.
Interesting.
So that, yeah, Ruri Rocks. Next is Lord of Mysteries. Have you seen anything about this?
Mysteries. No, I can't say.
So this is a Chinese animation project. It's like dubbed, or it's it's Chinese spoken Chinese animation.
Bring it.
An isekai, didn't expect that based on the trailers that I saw, because this was being really hyped up for like almost a year now. I've seen some trailers, and this is the one I had told you that it looked way too good to be true in the shots that I had seen. This was months ago. I think I mentioned it. And for the most part, no, like it's a really cool blend of, it's so confusing, dude. This is going to be the ones that I do recommend to you. I think you would like it. It has a problem. Crunchyroll. Breakneck speed. I had to watch it a second time. They were clearly trying to get all like the lore in
to the pilot.
But this guy wakes up. He wakes up in this body. He gets isekai. Last thing he remembers, he was eating dinner with his parents. He wakes up in this body in like a Victorian England type place.
Yeah.
Very steampunk, clockwork. Clockwork revolution style stuff. He has a hole in his head. It clearly looks like he just attempted to kill himself. And he's like looking around. There's clearly all this mystery. So it's like he has some of the memories of the person he is now, not all of them. So it's not like he starts fresh in a new body and he knows nothing. He has bits and pieces of this guy. He clearly knows he's involved in something. And there's like a power system based on if you can get your hands on a certain type of a sequence, or which is a potion, you can unlock abilities. And there's like a tier, like a hierarchy.
Interesting.
But he's clearly being chased by a couple factions. Some are police. You don't know if they're on his side or not. And he like unlocks this kind of. He thinks he got there because he did a ritual for good luck for like a test he was going to write. Yeah. He's a college student, so he tries to recreate that ritual to go back home, and he like goes into like this pocket world, and there's two other people there, and they're like, "Holy shit! Like we summoned the god," and he's like, "Oh." Like, are you talking about me? And then he has like, it unlocks these like fog powers for him. Dave, it's so out there. It's like vibes galore. Like it reminds me a lot of Inception in ways. Like kind of just like the way the world kind of like spins.
Oh,
the camera movements are like so like fucking flying around. Like it's like zoomed out shot. It's really really cool.
Sounds like a big swing for a pilot.
Yeah, like very, very eldritchy, like kind of like there's like Cthulhu vibes to it. Like it feels like there's like some ancient ones at play, kind of amongst the power systems. But yeah, so that was a really fun watch. And then I watched. So the next one, my final one, is called Takopi's Original Sin. This is on Crunchyroll. This is genuinely the saddest thing I've ever watched in my life. The pitch is a alien from the planet Happia is sent on a mission. It looks like a little octopus, like a four-legged octopus, and its mission is to go across the galaxy. It's assigned Earth, I think. That's my cat again in the hallway. I apologize. It's sent to Earth to go spread happiness. She comes upon. I think she's saved by this little girl-ish, like, kind of like she's hungry. She can't find her own food. Yeah. So this girl gives her, like, a piece of bread. So she's like, oh, like, I'm going to help you, make you happy. Yeah. And there's just this backdrop of this girl, like, this girl's insanely depressed. And there's a loop of, like, she's trying to help this girl, and she somehow is making it worse for her. Yeah. You find out she's being severely bullied at school. I'm just going to say, like, it's the first time they full blown showed this, like, a fourth grader commit suicide.
Oh my god!
And it was just like, and
they show it on screen,
more or less, yeah. And it's like, but Dave, like, I'm gonna watch every week because it's very similar to the summer Hikaru died in, like, the just animation style and tone and like just like artistic direction and like kind of like the just the usage of shot, like
Yeah.
it's so creative, and so I highly recommend you check out the pilot for yourself. Like
Yeah, I made note of it.
it's very depressing, but like you can tell like the hope and the tone is to change like this person's life. And there's this mechanic where at one point before the girl kills herself, this alien, and like all her gadgets are like, oh, this is a happy camera, this is like a happy, wand or whatever. She takes a photo with her, and the point of the camera is you can go back in time to relive that happy moment.
Oh.
So she creates a time loop, and she keeps going back, and somehow like it like keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and she can't figure out why until she clues in like what bullying is, because where she's from in her planet, like it's like there's no maliciousness, there's nothing like that. So it's like watching this girl suffer because like an outsider is just trying to like come in like full bore and like be happy because I'm here. It's one of the most unique things I've ever seen. It had me completely floored.
Damn.
It's the one I've been thinking about the most, like since I watched it. Yeah, like it's
Strong praise.
Yeah, it's like I said, I like warnings for people. Like it's very graphic. It does not. They show a like an act of bullying. They allude to, like, they killed this girl's dog at one point, the kids at school, but like they do a really good job by the end of it of like, oh, this is like, not that like any bullying is fair, but it goes to show like, bullies are bullied in their own way, they're suffering in their own way. Like it's sure. They're really trying to paint.
It comes from someplace.
It comes from someplace, and it feels like the show and the story. Again, I don't know if this is based on any previous work or if it's an original story, but it feels like they're trying to paint the full picture and how this little alien's going to try and like heal these people and like help these people. I just thought it was a great example of like the ignorance of like, I'm here to fix things, and like I'm going to brute force my way, good intentioned or not. It is, in this case, like it is good intention, and learns that doesn't necessarily fix things. Like Dave, like I said, I've not been able to stop thinking about it since I watched it. There, it's
Takopi's original sin.
Yeah.
Is Takopi the main character?
Takopi's the alien.
The alien, okay.
The original sin. So one of the big rules is there's like a flashback when she was on her home world from like, I'm assuming it's like the queen or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like you always have to be present when one of your tools is used. You cannot just like give them away. So I think the original sin is like she gives her this, it's like a ribbon of friendship or something like that. And she goes, yeah, like when two people are having a fight, they hold each side of it, and it helps them get out their feelings, to explain like what had bothered them about it. Yeah. And she gives it to the girl, and the girl hangs herself with it. Dude, man. Yeah, it was. I like the second it was like introduced, and she like the girl asked her, but like it's so crazy because like we see it and we're like, oh my god, like why would, but this little alien, this like innocent cute little orb essentially, just like doesn't understand, like the world, like our world and all that. Yeah. And it's I really hope you check it out. Like I said, it's incredibly morbid, but I think there's a shining light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. I hope. And it's so funny too, because like they hit you with the like the OP right in the beginning, and it's very like, we're all friends, happy. You're like, holy fuck, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Ugh. But yeah, it's all right. Yeah, man, it floored me. Like, just say the least, it just floored me.
All right, let's go for it. Okay, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah,
but maybe a tone change. Yeah. How about DanDaDan?
Let's do it.
That's why I said tone change, because I forgot how fun this show was.
Yeah.
This sounds interesting, but maybe I cue it up and I watch DanDaDan right after.
That's a good move.
For a palate cleanser. But so is there only one episode out?
I think it's just the one.
Yeah. Okay. So we watched it, and I think we were immediately reminded, like, oh right, this show fucking rocks.
Yeah, this show fucks.
Yeah. Like I think I was saying this to Sam. Like, I mean, I guess you could probably say this about music in general. Mm-hmm. Like, once you've written a hit, like, I mean, there's some different takes you can have here. But my point was going to be, like, once you've created an earworm, the anticipation for your follow-up, like, there's a lot of expectation. Mm-hmm. And I just think we really liked the OP, because I'm not, like, as big on OPs and anime soundtracks as you are.
Yeah.
But I think when you get a good one, it's like, man, it sticks with you, right?
Yeah.
And I was really happy with the new song, or the new OP rather, for season 2.
Incorporating the DanDaDan into the theme, I thought was a really nice touch. It goes to show that it was created for the show.
Yep. And the visuals with it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember we would watch, it was one of the few shows that we'd watch it every time.
Yeah.
Because it was just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the visuals were fun. And I feel the same, like, you know, you could make the argument, like I think Sam said, oh, I probably prefer the first one. But
It's only the first time hearing it, though.
it's only the first time hearing it. It's going to grow, you know what I mean? Anyway, just to get that out of the way, I love the new OP. And I thought it was a pretty strong opener.
It felt like, why wasn't this just dropped with, like,
Yes.
why didn't it just go from episode 12 to 13 last year? You know what I mean? Or early in the year, but...
Yeah, because she was even like season 2, like already. I was like, well, like these days it's kind of messed up, right? Like they do 12.
It's the rebrand. It's the rebrand of the course. Which is what it is.
But yeah, it really does literally pick up where you left off, and like, you know, it feels that way, so I'm not really complaining. You know, we didn't watch a recap, so we're kind of like, you know, oh right, this person does this person does that, but like the show like hits its beats pretty quickly. It has a good way of being like, oh right, here's how everything works. And I think the stick out thing about DanDaDan, and I'm sure we've said this on previous episodes, but I was just reminded of it super strongly, is they combine action with comedy so well. We're laughing throughout that whole back half of the episode, probably, of like just the chaos happening in the house. I loved every moment of that.
Yeah, just fun, like just jet fuel from like the beginning to end. You know, like like even in like in a slower moment, you know, like it's dialed in. Like, you know, there's a point where she's fighting
Keto family, the grandma, dude.
the granny side,
Oh
and
my
like she's
God.
like throwing stuff at them, and then you see one of the previous guys that she had fought goes flying at the granny. Like, she randomly pulled one of the guys, and I just
one of Granny's moves is like Jennifer Lopez Anaconda. And she's just doing this shit the whole way through. You're just like, oh right, this show is like not taking itself too seriously.
No, it's so loose.
It's for fun.
And it's for fun, and you know, like when it's serious, but like it's there to like ingest, you know, and
easy to forget that like they do tend to hit the serious beats.
Yeah.
Right? Like when it's time to have like a moment, they have the moment. And then like they don't really try too hard to create those moments too often.
No.
So when they do have them, it matters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a blast. I don't know if there's like a ton more to say on it other than it was super fun, and that's another one week to week, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, no question at all. Like I saw a couple people online talking about you know, DanDaDan, and you know, specifically, you know, Mother's Basement there. He was saying like he's been a huge DanDaDan fan for like he's been talking about it for years before the anime got announced. And it was interesting to hear him say like, you know, like this is where DanDaDan like really starts. You know, it's so funny because, you know, like Chainsaw Man is compared to DanDaDan in a lot of ways, where the reason it got famous is not for like what really happens in that first season. It's like it's the immediate following arcs that like really, you know, the manga got their ground and just, or kind of got themselves figured out, and then like they shoot off from there.
Right. I see what you
mean.
They had to, you know, all the world building, all the dynamics, relationships are established.
And having read Chainsaw Man, I couldn't agree more. Like, you know, like what, like, you know, what's coming with like the Reese arc, like that's...
When's that dropping? I've seen the trailers.
October is the North
away.
American release date, yeah. So, you know, like that kind of just where, and it's always like Chainsaw Man has always been that, but like it's when the bigger picture kind of opens and the focus comes in, and they really start kind of focusing in on characters more. But so to hear people speak about DanDaDan in a similar way, like I believe them, you know. So it's like I'm curious to see like what kind of kicks that off this season. I know because I think we're in the Evil Eye arc is what it's called.
Okay.
And they confirmed like in the next week's episode it's called the Evil Eye, I think. Apparently that's quite a fun, popular, like people are like this stuff is sick. So
well, this feels like a good segue point because you mentioned the Reese arc, and maybe we can transition into news, because I've seen like the Chainsaw Man trailers are now just like heavily in circulation.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a new one that came out this weekend. And
did you end up watching the trailer for the Demon Slayer movie or listening to it?
I listened to it. I didn't look at it. I just like kind of the background, but I love what I heard. I heard you talking about the actual score, and I was like, yeah, this is it. Did you hear about the runtime?
That's in my news. So
Okay.
155 minutes, right? That's what you saw?
2.5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
Let's go, dude. And there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
I saw someone did the math. I can't really I can't quite remember, but they were like, if each is around that, now that's a pretty big assumption to make.
Sure.
But let's just pretend. They were like, oh, that it's like equals like basically a full season or what? Like, they're basically trying to say like in terms of on-screen time, we're still gonna get a lot of content.
Yeah, no breaks. Just kind of right into it. So I saw too that there's 66 chapters left to be adapted.
Right. Okay.
So that's a good 3 split potentially. Yeah. If again, not every chapter necessarily has the same value of everyone. Yeah. So like it's I think it's bold to assume that everyone's going to be 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
but at least we have an idea, right? So
right. And for anyone who's unaware, like about the soundtrack thing, Grant and I were up for beers, and Grant often goes like Zero Dark Grant on things, which is to say he doesn't consume trailers. And like I don't think anybody will blame you for that, especially with how trailers have been in the last decade or so. Yeah. They give away a lot. But I have 2 notes for the listener or the viewer on this. If you haven't seen the trailer for Demon Slayer the movie, what is it called? What are they?
Infinity Castle Part 1?
Infinity Castle Part 1, yeah. One, I recommend that you watch the trailer, but if you don't, because you don't want to expose yourself to any potential spoilers, that's totally fair. But what I told Grant was like, dude, just listen to it. Like, they've got a character who I won't name kind of monologuing some words, and Grant, if you listen to it, you don't know because you didn't see the subs. But they've got a character monologuing just with like strings in the background while they're superimposing on like slow-mo frames of the movie, and it just feels like they're building it. I mean, if nothing else, it's excellent marketing material. If nothing else, like they've really established a tone in a trailer with really not giving a lot away, and I'm really, really impressed by it.
The amazing thing about Demon Slayer and the absolute like 10,000-pound gorilla that it is like they really could survive on still marketing alone. Yeah. And it would snowball into whatever. And the fact that they are like being delicate and gentle and putting, I'm not saying they don't, but it's just crazy to see like they know what they have and they kind of they could just sit on it, but they don't.
God, man, I love. Give me one movie a year for the next 3 years, and I'll be fine with it. I don't know. That's an ambitious schedule. I'm also so curious. We're going to talk about box office stuff in a sec here. I'm so curious to see how it does internationally. Mugen Train fucking crushed.
Dude, it's gonna crush. I'm almost certain.
We've got theme parks, right? Like,
yeah.
I hope it crushes. Like that's good for anime in general. The North American release will be big. I'm excited. Okay, I mentioned box office because is it this weekend that Superman hits theaters?
Friday. Yeah, the embargo dropped, eh?
Yeah, so that's what I have here. So 2 things. I put this in my notes before. But did you see like a week ago, like the Daily Beast, like broke the embargo accidentally, and it was a scathing review, and then they removed it. But now keep in mind, years ago I predicted this would be James Gunn's first really big bomb.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how that's looking right now. I'll be honest, because since that happened, the embargo lifted today, like you just said, and so far, is it fair to say, quite positive?
Yeah, I saw the Metacritic was at, again, this, it doesn't matter. I think the Metacritic was at 72, and the Rotten Tomatoes score was 91.
Yeah, based off 70-ish reviews.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, I think if it was, like if it was bad at this point, like we could have a whole pod just on like the validity of reviews and Rotten Tomatoes and that whole system and like how people feel about it. But I do think that if it was an absolute, like, I'm trying to think here, like, you remember let's use a similar yardstick, like Batman versus Superman. I think when their embargo lifted, they got fucking eviscerated. Like, audiences turned out for that movie, but the critics annihilated it.
Yep.
So I feel like if it was in that realm, especially, there's also a good argument right now that if superhero fatigue is real, it's probably stronger now than it was back then.
Yeah, if this was 2 years ago, I think if it was just okay, it would probably do fine. Yeah. But I think this now has a chance to like crush the weekend. Like, dude, like Jurassic Park did 351 million this weekend, and I saw that, dude. It was okay.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would be the case.
I was bummed. My 2-second review. Just give me real dinosaurs, make it scary, and instill some fear. Like it's like Childish Mutants.
What's this one called?
World Rebirth. Jurassic World Rebirth. Scarlett Johansson was good. I gotta say, great protagonist.
She took the spot for #1 grossing actor of all time
because of this.
And the other there's the top 10 is all MCU people other than Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So it's like Chris Evans is in the top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if has he done a big movie outside of the MCU?
No, nothing blockbuster wise.
Nothing that's grossed like $1 billion.
No.
But ScarJo, good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it was okay. Jurassic World was okay.
Yeah. Right. I was just gonna it's just interesting. We're on a bit of a heater right now. F1, Jurassic World, Superman, all being released kind of back to back.
And then 2 weeks from now is Fantastic Four.
Wow. It's funny. Out of everything we've discussed, I weirdly want to see F1 the most.
It's sick, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I saw it on on one of the AVX screens, the wider ones that had the Dolby setup in it, and it's one of the best movies this year for me. The acting, I say that. The technical showpiece of it was one of the best things I've seen this year. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I like when things go fast. And we were talking about Drinks the other night. It literally was Top Gun Maverick with cars.
Yeah, and it's the same writer, right?
Director, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I'm by no means an F1 super fan, but we got a lot of people. We watched that Netflix series, and then we started watching race highlights and a little bit here and there, and it's it'd be kind of interesting to see a good movie be made in that realm, and it seems like they really went for it. So I'm really curious.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, I didn't buy all that, if I'm being honest. It was a little weird.
Well, it was sorry, go ahead.
It was just when Tom Cruise is in something,
yeah.
I always forget the saying, or how to say it, the disbelief, or
your ability to suspend your sense of
disbelief. Yeah. So with Tom Cruise, it's I see him in the role because he's just so gung ho.
It's not hard, yeah.
Watching Brad Pitt try to do the 60, but I'm playing 50. I'm still dyeing my hair blonde, race guy.
Yeah.
The weird relationship they were building and pushing, even his kind of relationship with the guy that he's kind of supposed to be guiding.
Yeah.
It just felt very forced and felt there was a couple scenes with him and Javier Bardem was it was so chopped up. I'm did you guys reshoot this 20 times? It was.
They've been at it for a while. I know that.
It was a tad weird, and I like Brad Pitt. I know he's not the funnest cat to be a fan of right now, but
yeah.
I've liked a lot of his movies, and this is the first one where it's just I think you're officially too big.
Sure.
It was hard to see
he's
him
in the way of the movie almost.
Yeah,
I get that big at times.
Yeah, but
because it becomes about the star of Brad Pitt competing inside this movie, and it's hard to lose that at times, right? It's funny, big movie stars, I'm sure people like Quentin Tarantino can say a lot about, because he has said a lot about this, but it's hard to lose that at times. But you get characters let's just take Brad Pitt, a very one-to-one comparison, Leo.
Yeah.
Say everything you will about Leo, but damn, that guy disappears into character. It's hard sometimes.
But
or Daniel Day-Lewis, who's not really as big of a movie star, but is
the actor's actor.
The actor.
Yeah. Yeah. But in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I totally bought Brad Pitt in that role. It was just there was something weirdly so close on his face in this movie, all the time. It almost felt it was weird. It was so weird. As I was watching, I was how am I going to describe this to Dave? Because it was very weird for me. I don't know what it was.
My dad calls it the he used to say the same thing about Troy. Everybody loves, I'm not saying Troy is a perfect movie.
Sure.
It's a fun guys movie, war movie, but it does feel sometimes you watch that movie, try and catch how many longing shots there are of how pretty Brad Pitt is in that film.
Sure.
It's hard to get away of just how gorgeous he is, and it's they knew that, and they were we should hold this for a minute. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the money right there.
Yeah, so it's I get it. He's perfect for this moment in his career in this movie, but that a little bit too much, and you're capitalizing it just a touch too much, and maybe it sounds like they did that in F1. I haven't seen the movie, but you just reminded me.
I do. It's obviously everyone's busy and all that. it would be like one to see in the theater if you could.
Yeah, I'm debating now because part of me doesn't want to see Superman because I don't want to contribute against my prediction.
Sure.
But then again, it might be fun. I don't know. So it's kind of between a couple of things right now. I got to be honest, dude. I truly feel no pull to go see Fantastic Four.
So that was the thing. So last Monday I saw F1, and there was 30 minutes of trailers, which was exhausting.
That's wild.
I will say though, it was like one ad in the front, trailers, then one ad, then the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's refreshing. They don't usually do that. It's kind of interspersed lately. Saw the F1 trailer, or the Fantastic Four and Superman trailers, which I had avoided.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, okay, well, I'm sitting here. I guess I'm not going to see her with my eyes closed like some asshole. So I guess I got to watch them. And I was like, okay, that's whatever. Friday, Leanna and I went and saw Jurassic Park, or World. And there was another, two separate Fantastic Four and Superman trailers. And I was like, how did these two new trailers make the movies look worse? The trailers I saw on Monday. I understood, and like Leanna looked at me after Fantastic Four, and she's like, and she knew what I was gonna say. She's like, I know you know Pedro's my guy, but I'm not seeing that.
That's funny.
And I'm like, damn, I was totally gonna pitch that to you. But you know what was sick though, Dave? The best thing about seeing Jurassic Park last Friday, I got the Odyssey teaser.
What, already?
Yeah, dude. There's
they're moving on this movie.
They got a 20-second snippet of just Bernthal being like, it's like he's doing his character from what was We Own This City?
Yeah.
The Baltimore cop docudrama that David Simon made. And I was like, oh my god, it was like Chris Ryan's bit on all the Ringer stuff. You're going away for a long time, man. It was like that. That's funny. Talking to Tom Holland. I was like, this is awesome. That's beautiful. Funny. That movie is gonna rip.
Yeah, that we're seeing. You mentioned Pedro.
Yeah.
Call me Tommy Segways here. Did you see the news? And you may not have because you might be checked out. But both Neil Druckmann and Haley Gross, one of the writers on the second game, have dropped out of the Last of Us TV series for season 3.
So there's a lot of hubbub about this.
Yes. But he did make a statement because he's shifting to a new project.
Well, a game that's been announced and probably in the final one of the final stretches. It's so crazy. Video game developer helps make TV show, leaves TV show to go back to being a video game developer. It's the people are making way too much smoke out of this for no reason. But
well, I think
it is. But I think that might open the door for a wild season 3. In
a good way or a negative way?
I just don't I'm sure he might still have some producing side of it, but if he's genuinely not involved, I don't think they need to be held back by the restraints of the story. Yeah, well, that was my thought. Is if you have a guy who created the IP on board in the writer's room, and also to be you have to give him some credit. Yes, obviously the credit of creating the thing, but also there's a very real argument that he wrote the best episode in season 1, for which Nick Offerman won an Emmy. You know what I mean? He clearly his skill set isn't limited to video game storytelling. No, my understanding is he went to film school before he got into game development. So that all that makes sense and so it tracks. But and the Haley Gross who left apparently wrote the second game with him. So they're losing 2 strong writers. Yep. That contributed to the source material, I guess, is the point. But you make a good point. I think it will impact things in a significant way. It'll be interesting to see. Might bring me back for 3rd season. Yeah. Okay, and then actually, man, Tommy Segways. Speaking of writing, the Batman script is complete. In the can. Let's get it. The Batman 2 by Matt Reeves. Who's I thinking of? The old Superman, Chris Reeves? Yeah. Christopher Reeves, yeah. The Batman 2 script, 40 years after the airing of the first one is finished. Robert Pattinson's going to need a walker to get on that. Wow. No, I'm playing. It's going to be all in the Batmobile. I guess he's going to do... He has to do Dune 3, and that back-to-back. Oh, yeah. Did you see the headline that they're shooting the entirety of Dune Messiah in IMAX? Yes, I did see that. That's very exciting. Those movie tickets are going to be $40 a pop. Let's go, dude. And, did we cover this? Fucking, man, Segways.
Did we mention on the pod? Denis
No,
Villeneuve?
that was just us. Yeah,
Denis Villeneuve directing the next Bond.
that's crazy.
You know, the rumor that I believe, we've talked about how often these things end up being completely true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, you know, Nolan was in contention, demanded final cut. They said no. Denis said that's fine by me.
Crazy.
It's a studio, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, Nolan makes studio movies, and he seems to get it otherwise. So, I don't know.
You're trying to tell me he didn't have final cut on Oppenheimer, like last year's Best Picture, you know? Like,
Probably, yeah, there's no way he's not
about to hammer out, like, you know, Odysseus there, and you try to tell me he's not getting final cut? Like,
I wonder,
crazy.
It's weird because, like, you do worry about final cut, I guess, like giving it to an unproven director or maybe a director that might make crazy decisions. But it's like you'd be giving it to him for him to reboot the franchise, and you're going to approve the script ahead of time anyway. So I wonder what the hang-up is. Is it like just the fear of the unknown?
I think traditionally the James Bond IP is like very heavily controlled by like that one family.
Yeah, but didn't they fucking bow out? Didn't they get bought out?
No, I think. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, that's true. That's did get bought out.
Because apparently they went down this road a year or two ago, and that family was the one that vetoed Final Cut for Nolan, and they moved on. And then after that, they got bought out. So everyone was like, "Oh, maybe this means the Nolan thing is real, or we have a reprieve or a new chance to do the Nolan thing."
I think Denis has proved he can do big scale.
Yes,
like no one else. You know,
yeah, hell of a number
than,
two choice.
You know, it's like the big three. It's like Nolan, Cameron, Villeneuve at this point. Like, James Cameron's James Bond would be wild.
it's James Bond as an avatar, just on another planet, just
all
killing them
suits.
and stealing their natural resources, betting all their women, and just.
Oh my god.
Yeah, sorry.
It would be like all the actors everyone was wanted to play James Bond, like skin suit swapping, going from one. It's like Idris Elba, and then it's Chris Hemsworth, and Tom Holland shows up.
There's a Terminator arc where he shows up at the beginning of the movie from the future in an avatar. Come with me if you want to make a martini.
The Na'vi are coming.
Yeah.
God, that's funny.
Okay, last two things on my list here were you know about both, I think. Double headers here. Cyberpunk Season 2 announced, and Free Run Season 2 air news January 2026.
January 2026. Very excited. Edge Runners. I was shocked. I couldn't have sent that faster to you. I think I said that to you quite early in the morning.
Yeah, I was stoked about it, though.
I was like, Dave, check this.
Yeah, very, very stoked about it.
Yeah, same team, new idea.
Big win.
Yeah. Awesome. They deserve that.
Yeah, and I think you can, just based off the trailer and the announcement, I think the hope is that, you know, all new cast, hopefully a new story. Only thing the same is Night City, and that's all you need.
Yeah, Night City. Every night's a new story.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well said.
Love
all right. You want to wrap on that? That feels like a good place to leave it.
Yeah, definitely check it next time when there's a couple more summer shows. Kaiju number 8's in a couple weeks.
Oh my God.
Comes back. Sakamoto Days comes back this weekend as well. Dr. Stone is back in a couple days. Love that. Love me some Dr. Stone. There's a show called City the Animation that I wanted to check out. That's coming. I think that came out today. But yeah, we got a fun season of anime.
Yeah, man. Lots of stuff coming down the pipe.
Love it.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, all those places. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram and all those places. Do all the relevant social media things. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Grant, say the thing.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.